Ask yourself this question. How will you take the principles, the ideas, the inspiration, the insights you're going to learn over the next 3 days at this conference into your organization and transform your workplace into a more conscious corporation? How? Now that question seems paradoxical, right? Because come Monday morning, your lives are going to be immersed in deadlines and targets. Who's got time for mindfulness and meditation? But I want to tell you 2 methods by which you could actually do something to accomplish that goal. The first one is simply around compassion. Every day, your customers, no matter what your product or service is, are creating stories of compassion. And if all you do is just tell those stories, you will surround your brand with love. You will humanize your organization, and most importantly, your associates will be inspired with a new sense of meaning and purpose. So let me illustrate this with a personal example that I can talk about in the context of Google. So as you know, I work for the small internet company called Google. And the product I work on is Google+. And at a fundamental level, what we are creating is a platform for human beings to connect with each other, to share things that they care about, with people they care about, and build communities of interest. And we made it really easy by allowing human beings anywhere on the planet, all 7 billion people, to actually have a dialogue face-to-face over video with as many people as they want to for free. In fact, this morning at 7:30, there's something historic that happened, and I was attending to it before getting here. 3 astronauts from the International Space Station had a live conversation with many school students all over the world for the first time in history, and these school students were in their homes or in schools. Things like this had never happened before. So what we built is this really powerful technology platform. But when we built it, we were not quite sure what humans would do with it, and we put it out there. What started unfolding was these amazing stories of compassion, and I want to tell you 2 of those stories. So the first thing that happened was there was this community of photographers that started forming on this platform. And one of them was John Butterell. So John Butterell lives in rural Canada. And one of his small acts of compassion is he leads amateur photographers on something called photo walks, where you can walk with John with your equipment, take photos together, and learn from him. But you need to be physically present in Kawartha Lakes in order to do that. So one day John had this idea. With all of these technologies that are available, with this platform that companies like Google are building, why don't I take people on a virtual photo walk so that people anywhere in the world can join me? That's when Corey Fisk joined the Hangout. And Corey Fisk lives here in Scotts Valley, California. And she has one problem. The last time Corey Fisk walked was 10 years ago. She suffers from multiple sclerosis. In fact, let's hear how the story unfolds from John Butterell. Let's watch a video.
One day, I was out taking pictures, and I thought, how cool would it be to attach a phone to your camera and hang out with 5, 10 people, and they would see exactly what I was seeing through the viewfinder of my camera. It was amazing. The next day, Corey Fisk came into the Hangout.
I love photography, and I have been living with MS 10 years, and this is my world. There's nothing more to my world than that.
I just said, tomorrow, I'll take you for a walk. I'm going to walk closer to that old tree over there.
Down a little,
Okay.
a little more, right there. Lovely.
For a few brief minutes, she wasn't going to be in that bed. She was going to experience her own momentary escape.
See you later.
She was on a virtual photo walk. The next day, we posted it. And photographers all over the world jumped on board.
Utah Lake. Oh, yes, we have a tea turtle.
Look at this.
Oh my goodness.
And you guys see what I'm seeing at the moment.
Oh.
So as you can see, photographers from all over the world in this act of compassion took Corey Fisk on this epic virtual journey from her bed all over the world. Let me share a second story of compassion. And this is from a gentleman called Joe Hall, a filmmaker in New York. Can we bring up, Joe Hall. So Joe Hall started Ghetto Film School in the South Bronx, in this crime-scarred and very difficult neighborhood, because his goal was to give teenagers an opportunity to learn filmmaking and tell the stories. But all his classes were offered only in the South Bronx neighborhood. So last year, Joe had this idea. Again, why don't I take this capability that technology has brought, say the platform that things like Google Plus are giving me, and make my classes available to teenagers anywhere in the world. And that's when Katiana Jean-Julien took his class from Haiti. I want you to listen to the story that Katiana narrates. Let's watch the second video.
Jacmel is a beautiful town in southeastern Haiti. We have beautiful way to do things. I want to be a filmmaker, to make people see Haiti in a different way.
When I started Ghetto Film School, I wanted young people from the South Bronx to have a place to share their work and tell their story.
My mother thinks we have no future in cinema, but I just want to be a filmmaker.
Les cinéastes, ça vraiment n'apporte pas quelque chose. Et surtout, Haïti, on est dans un pays sous-développé.
You've got this talent, and more importantly, you have this heart. How could we connect young filmmakers to people they can really learn from?
Oh, we just had someone join us. Can you hear us, Katiana?
There was no electricity, but the laptop had power. So I take the flash on my face and I start talking.
My name is Katiana Jean-Julien. I am from Jacmel.
We are very lucky to have Lee Daniels here with us. He's directed films like Precious, so you guys could pitch your story to Lee.
Everybody goes pitch their idea, but me, I was like this.
The story is about two young
When I start pitching my idea, my voice was tremble, and after I did that, he said to me,
I want to direct that movie.
Yeah.
I think it's a very strong story, Katiana.
I felt so proud.
So by telling these stories, it has humanized our brand, it has humanized our company, it has surrounded the brand with love. But most importantly, it has inspired Googlers and our customers with this highly inspired sense of meaning and purpose behind what we are doing. So the first step that I would urge you to do to create a conscious corporation is look within your organization itself for these stories of compassion that are unfolding every day. All you have to do is to just find these stories and tell these stories. But step two, going beyond that, is to take many of these principles around yoga and mindfulness, etc., you will learn in the next 3 days, and incorporate it into your organization. Now, at this point, I see some skepticism on some faces, and your look says, well, look, Gopi, I work for a conservative mainstream organization. These ideas will never work there. So I'm going to challenge you on that by sharing some examples of organizations that have actually transformed themselves into become more conscious organizations. And some of them may look like yours. Let's start with a quotation I want you to read. And this quotation says, compassion to ourselves, our colleagues and customers, that is what the training of mindfulness is all about. And raise your hand if you kind of guess that this might be a quotation from His Holiness the Dalai Lama. That's what I thought, except this is from somebody called Janice Martorono, former deputy counsel at General Mills, where for 7 years while she was there, before leaving to start a mindfulness nonprofit institute, Janice was instrumental in creating this program that has led General Mills executives through yoga and meditation with very measurable results that they have looked at control groups and people who took the program. Here's a second quotation that I saw that grabbed my attention. It said, every morning I get up and I do my asana, pranayama, meditation, and Vedic chanting. And when I read it, I said, surely this must be from some Swamiji in a yoga ashram in Rishikesh in the Indian Himalayas. Except this was from Mark Bertolini, CEO of Aetna Insurance. And again, in the very heartland, these companies are based. And Aetna has put together a program where 3,500 employees to date have gone through a yoga meditation program. And it was so phenomenal in reducing healthcare costs that Aetna has now packaged this program and offers it as a service to their clients because it makes eminent business sense. Here's one final quote for you. And this one says, there's one management principle that I aspire to live by more than any other management principle, and that is managing compassionately. Look at the underlined words. Since when has compassion become a management principle? That's great news, right? And this quote is by Jeff Weiner, CEO of LinkedIn, who is speaking here later today. So how is this working for Jeff? You should ask him in the last session. But one fact I can share with you is this, that since Jeff took LinkedIn public, for the last 7 quarters, every single quarter, he has beaten analyst estimates. So something seems to be working. Right? So at this point, I've convinced many of you that a variety of companies are taking these principles and implementing it, and you can transform your organization into a conscious corporation. But there are still some diehard skeptics I see in the audience. And your look now says, Gopi, no, you don't understand. My organization is very unique. It is the most toxic, unconscious place you've ever seen. These principles will never work there. Well, let me challenge that assumption as well. Let's walk into what could be considered as one of the most toxic work environments you can ever imagine, and that is a prison system. And even within a prison system, the Tihar jail in New Delhi, India is notorious for overcrowding, for drugs, for corruption, for violence. And into the toxic environment stepped in a young woman police officer called Kiran Bedi as Inspector General of Prison. And Kiran was the first Indian police service officer, woman police service officer. And when she got there, the operating manual that she was given had the feared ODI formula, which was oppression, deprivation, and isolation, with the intention that it would actually prevent the prisoners from ever committing crime again. And she had the good sense to realize that was not going to work. So when she got there, Kiran asked the question, is there any way we can use understanding and compassion and look at these people as just human beings who fell off the wagon, just like any one of us could potentially have, and try some of the methods? So she decided to experiment by introducing yoga and meditation in Tihar jail. In 1994, the first time when they tried this program, 1,000 prisoners participated in the Vipassana meditation program. And to date, it is the largest Vipassana program ever, inside or outside a prison, with phenomenal results because they have done control group studies. And the results they've seen is reduced aggression and violence in the prison and reduced crime when the prisoners leave. So reduction in relapsed behavior. So the point that I want to make is very simple as I wrap up here. Over the next 3 days, you will hear from a lot of speakers, ranging from John Kabat-Zinn here to Padma Shri Warrior or Jeff Weiner. And you will learn a lot of principles as many organizations are experimenting with things to raise their consciousness. And you can take them back into your organizations. You can start with something simple like identifying stories of compassion that your customers are creating, like I showed in the Google example. Or you can take it one step further and implement it in your organization, like what you see in the case of General Mills, Aetna, and LinkedIn. But the most important thing I want you to remember is this, from the story of Tihar Jail and Kiran Bedi. It only takes one person, that one spark plug, to fire up imagination in any organization and be that agent of change. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Come Monday morning, are you going to be that spark plug? Are you going to be the agent of change in your organization to transform your workplace into a more conscious organization?